think the weather is improving in Windsor, so they'll be a bit happier than that. One thing you can't control is, of course, the weather. But should we be rolling the red carpet out for Donald Trump? Well, let's talk to James Ball. He's political editor of The New World. Used to be The New European, but then they discovered there was somewhere else outside of Europe, very excitingly. Very good morning to you, James.
Good morning, Julia.
Appreciate you joining us. So red carpet's being rolled out, quite a lot on the left not happy. Sadiq Khan had to pipe up, the London mayor. He says that, we should really, we shouldn't really be taking, lectures from Donald Trump on anything, and perhaps we need to tell him some home truths. He says, because the US president has, in his words, perhaps done the most to fan the flames of divisive far-right politics around the world. What do you say to that?
I'm saying here to a lot of it. I think Sadiq Khan sort of echoes what a lot of Labour voters, certainly a lot of Labour members and MPs think. And, I'm very glad that people are going out and protesting. Donald Trump's extraordinarily unpopular here, but it's the government's job to suck it up and talk to people they don't like and try and get Britain a good deal. And Trump loves pomp, Trump loves ceremony. We're good at pomp and ceremony. It doesn't cost us very much, and we might get good deals for British business. We might get the worst of the tariffs off. I think the government's doing the right thing, even if I don't personally like it very much.
So that's part of the deal of being grown up and being in politics. You have to do these things. And yet, last time he came, when Labour were in opposition, whether it was Sadiq Khan, there was like a war of words texting battle while the president was on the tarmac, for goodness sake. After he arrived, there was the big baby, baby in a nappy blimp that he gave permission to in Parliament Square. Pretty much every member of the front bench, whether it's David Lammy, former Foreign Secretary, now Deputy Prime Minister, laughably, Yvette Cooper, now Foreign Secretary, had to greet him. They have been incredibly rude about the president. Now, I may agree with some of their criticisms about Donald Trump in terms of misogyny and things like that. However, if you're in frontline politics, if you're a grown-up, you don't do that, do you?
It's politics, isn't it? Every politician has met another world leader they've said something dreadful about, and they're all tremendously good at pretending it never happened. I sort of shrug it off largely. I think Trump doesn't pay enough attention to Britain to care too much.
You have no idea who this funny little elf-like creature was who greeted him at the bottom of the steps. He's got no idea who she is.
There's no way he'll remember Yvette Cooper's name after this week, is there? Lammy got on with J.D. Vance. I've no idea if Trump will notice he's gone. But he likes being sucked up to. He likes a big castle. He likes the royals. This will work, and it won't matter that they said dodgy things about him in the past, as long as they're saying nice things about him
as long as he gets the biggest fly past, the biggest number of troops, the biggest, everything's going to be a first. They know what they're doing here. In terms of trade deals, what we get, again, there's a big question marks about that £30 billion deal with US tech giants, because they've been arguing about, they don't want a lot of the new regulatory rules that the UK wants to bring in. Trump and J.D. Vance have argued about that. But also, a lot of people wondering, why on earth would big AI, industry come and set up in the UK when we've got 4 times the energy prices of America?
We've got really good workforce. We are not as insane and regulatory on big tech as some of Europe. I can be pro-Europe and still say that they're dreadful at this.
Well done, James.
European tech giants.
Well done. No, I'm really proud of you for that.
Thanks, Julie. It means a lot.
Europe isn't El Dorado. Shocker from James Ball.
We have a skilled tech workforce. We have, London is still a good city to do business in. There's good access to capital. Energy cost is a big factor. I genuinely worry about our grid. We can barely power ourselves, but we've got a lot of advantages that mean that expensive energy is a problem, but not an insurmountable one.
Okay, very interesting. Well, here's a problem, perhaps an insurmountable one, is European Convention on Human Rights and our incredibly activist lawyers and judges that we've got that are preventing pretty much any deportation of this country from channel migrants. The Prime Minister and the then Home Secretary Yvette Cooper had hailed their one-in, one-out deal with France earlier in the summer. We were told it was all imminent, and then we found out on Sunday this was the week those deportations flights. Someone who had arrived, being detained back in early August, would be deported to France. It was going to happen on all flights all day, every day this week. They'd be deported on Air France flights from Heathrow to Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, and then people would start coming back from France. We've had 2 planes that people have been booked on. There was a 9 o'clock one this morning. No one went out on that one either. No one's gone out other than a load of journalists, including Thomas Godfrey from The Sun, who was on one of the planes at great expense. And last night we discovered that an Eritrean man, a 25-year-old whose mum had paid £1,000 to smugglers to bring him here, that he has been allowed to stay based on 2 claims. One, he would be destitute in France if he arrived there because he wasn't going to get a 4-star hotel. But also he has claimed, although having denied he'd been exploited in his first interview, after the lefty lawyers had got involved, he now says that he was human trafficked and therefore that would mean he couldn't be deported. And the High Court has put a temporary block on that deportation. Are we ever going to be able to send anyone who arrives on a Channel boat back to any country ever?
I do sometimes think the government's deliberately making my job hard. I'll be honest. It's... I want to make the case that we can actually get effective deportations without leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. I think the government makes it very hard to do that, and I do think there is an argument that some of the courts overinterpret this stuff in ways that look almost activist sometimes.
I mean, you're being very careful there. They completely and utterly apply their own thing, their own made-up version of the articles in the Human Rights Convention, and they just make it up as they go along.
So we do deport people who arrive on small boats all the time, even when they make claims of modern slavery, even when they make all of this. Yeah, we've got a lot better at returns, particularly to Albania, when you look at some other countries.
Yeah, but Albania, that's a simple, easy one. There's no war in Albania. People aren't being persecuted in Albania. We did a deal with the Albanian government.
There's no war in France yet, but we seem to have struggled with that one.
Who knows? But that's it. But France isn't the country these people initially hail from. But that's the whole point of this deal. It's like, oh, OK, well, other than the fact that we don't want one in as well as one out. But on Saturday, we understand that the first flight of someone who was a migrant in France who's applied to come here on this exchange trip, this lovely little exchange visit, they're going to arrive, whether we've deported anyone or not. I mean, that's taking the mick out of the British people, isn't it?
It is really, really bad politics. I mean, the thing... You would have thought if you have done a deal that a lot of people already thought was a day late and $1 short, you know, I can see the merits of this one in, one out. I can see why they think it might help at least a little bit, but it was not a good sale. It doesn't sound like it's useful. And so botching the execution feels dreadful. Getting people to look at it and go, we're going to do the first ones this week when you aren't sure it's there. I don't know why they didn't try and do this quietly, have these problems, and then turn around and say, it's been working for a month and look at the results it's had.
Well, if they were good at politics, I mean, the Prime Minister's just lost his Director of Strategy a couple of days ago, and again, most of us were unaware he had a Director of Strategy. He hasn't been, obviously, doing a very good job. But this is the thing. Is it even possible for us to, deporting some people back to Albania and some other people, a lot of the deportations that are claimed deportations where we've paid people money to go and paid for their flights, it's not quite the same thing as people who don't want to go. The reality is, while we are still inside the European Convention on Human Rights, the Refugee Convention, while we've still got activist judges and lawyers, we're not going to be able to get rid of, 31,000 have come this year, we're not going to be able to get rid of them.
I think we can get it done. As I say, I appreciate the government are not helping me in making this, but they have made progress. We can say the Albania stuff's easy.
Albania was done by the last government.
But a lot of it wasn't, though. The rates have really, really dropped in the last 2 years. You've gone from about 50% successful on appeal to about 8% successful on appeal. That's a lot more people getting out. There's a lot of things you can do. The delays, it takes 2 years on average to get someone through the system. That's got to be quicker. There's stuff like funding courts we can do. There's stuff like reforming how judges interpret the law. There's a lot of actually relatively easy steps we could do to get these numbers down.
Do you think this government is up to doing that?
Not necessarily. I hope they are. I hope they get the grip. They haven't managed it yet. There's not much to look at and feel inspired, I'll be honest.
I tell you what, James, I am absolutely flabbergasted that you're actually admitting what an absolute nonsense and mess this is.
I mean, look, so you can't point to white and say it's black, can you?
I don't know. A lot of your side have done that many a time.
Fantastic job.
Yeah,
but
well,
I think there's a lot of smaller steps that would work that don't require us to throw out human rights that protect you and me. And when I see, look, it was nonsense. There were 4 people arrested under malicious communications for projecting onto Windsor Castle last night. You know, you worry about free speech. I know that. I worry about
Yeah,
that.
it was
I
from a
don't want to throw
restricted
out the
area.
free speech protections we have.
Yeah,
Like,
there is that. There is that. James Paul, fascinating to talk to you. Thank you very much. Team Political to the New World. Thank you for that. Claire Pearson. I'm surprised. James Paul, he's a fully signed up, European lefty for human rights, open the borders. I mean, with all due respect, James, you're still listening. And even he admits this is a horribly farcical situation.
And it's really interesting to see those on the left who have been supportive of a Labour government and now finding it so incredibly difficult.
Absolutely. Love to hear your thoughts. Give us a call, 0344 499 1000.